Not all superheroes wear capes. Some wear wellies. Wellies.
So welcome everybody here this evening. I have Ireland's most famous car dismantler at the moment, Mr. Kev. How are you doing?
Good.
Now, me and Kev know each other probably like most men of our age in this country, in that our two women knew each other, and then I was at his wedding in Spain and I thoroughly enjoyed myself. So I did. And Kev, you're more than welcome to Sligo.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So I'm going to start off. You're in the car dismantling, the recovery business.
Yeah.
Where did it start?
My father, obviously. He started in the mid-80s, I think, and we've built it up from there. And like that, like Anton, I came in the 90s, I grew up in a scrapyard, and to me it's second nature.
Yeah.
But people seem to want to know more about it and see it, and that's where it all developed into where I am now with you.
Yeah, because about a month, 3 weeks ago, I suppose it'd be shortly after our wedding, was it? Or
Yeah, it was literally after your wedding.
Yeah. You put out a video on TikTok.
Yeah.
And like, I've met fellas and they said they never knew that there was a car dismantler in Ballyhonus. And you done this TikTok, and now I think basically every man that's into cars in the country knows where you are. And you have a good stock. You have a good stock of stuff.
A massive stock of old stuff that I had completely just thought it was worthless. Like, in my head, when you grow up around that stuff, it becomes kind of a thing that these cars aren't on the road anymore. You're not going to sell them. People are like, oh, put them on eBay. That's time consuming. You're talking thousands and thousands of parts. So I was like, right, and getting rid of... From 2020 on, I've done a massive clean up of the yard and cleaning up all the old stuff. They weren't selling. The bits weren't selling. Like 1992 Carina E. You don't see them on the road. They're not crashing. No one wants the parts. So I've done a big, massive clear out. And I just decided I'll make a TikTok, not really knowing that it was public or whatever. I didn't realise it would go as big as it did. Like, I think in all my friends on TikTok, I had 63 friends, and they're all rally heads and they're all cars. They want a few panels there, work away. Next thing, I think 200,000 people watched that video, and the phone started hopping.
That was the video with the wings, wasn't it?
No, it was body panels. It was bonnets and doors and stuff like that. And then it went on to the wings. Like, there was loads of parts in my yard that hadn't been touched in a decade, like, hadn't been documented or nothing. I didn't know what was in there myself, like.
Because, if you were into old cars or tractors or anything like that, what you done was basically exposed a gold mine.
Yeah, but sure, I'd lost the spark. I didn't realise. I didn't think that there was such a backing, there was such enthusiasm over this stuff. Like, I just thought, this stuff isn't on the road. No one wants its parts. When was the last time you seen a Sierra crashing? Who's going to want a bonnet off Sierra? Who's going to want a wing off Sierra?
Yeah.
So then I was dumping everything. I was throwing everything out, making way for all the new stuff, all this electric goodies that are meant to be coming, getting space ready for batteries and just getting all set up that way. And keep forgetting about the mic.
Nah, don't worry about the sound. So, but you see, I can't emphasise it enough. There's men all over this country that has sheds full of stuff that they think is, crap.
Yeah.
And you have the part that some man in another part of the country, or maybe even the UK or that, is looking for. Do you know?
Yeah, but I'm not going to lie. Like, I really did think it was all like no one.
Were you?
I thought there was enough spurious parts that people are making reproductions of all these parts. Who'd want that part? Like, I didn't think that an original rusty old wing like that now over there would be so valuable to some man.
Yeah.
But I just didn't think there was enough men out there, just enough people to buy that stuff. Like, I was thinking it's just sitting there, it's wasting our space, it's there for a decade. I had loads of these stores around, and like, I threw out tens and thousands of lights and everything that are pre-00, pre-90s into the 80s. Things that are just...
Can't get them.
And I'm wide open, and my eyes are wide open now.
But when you said it, how will you say it? You're running your business with your dad.
Yeah.
And your dad is in his 70s or that.
Yeah.
Had you kind of said... Because I bet you, Shilling, he held on to all that stuff because that was the mentality. They were thinking there'll be a use for that.
I know he got that mentality. I used to be the hoarder. I used to hoard everything. I'd be, there'd be a use for that, there'd be a use for that. But he had got me into the mentality of get rid of it or it'll build up.
Yes.
And every year we'd done a clean up on certain things we had down the yards because we have sheds full of parts and we documented them. But if they aren't selling and they're there over 10 years, you're just going to get rid of them. And he was the fella who kind of threw out everything. And I said, right, we're going at this store and we're going at it big. Like, we're going to get rid of everything. This, like, shelving, I was like, dump everything, all new everything going into this now. And for all these new, fresh parts. But as I said, now, my it's completely changed. Like,
but doesn't it go to show you that in the modern age, if you don't have the kind of social media angle, you're missing a trick.
Oh, yeah.
You're really missing a trick.
Oh,
like
yeah.
you must have seen a big upsurge in business out of this.
That first video I put up was on the Friday, and I remember my friend ringing me going, "Do you know that video I put up is hitting 20,000 people have watched it?" And I was like, next thing the lads from the store ringing, "Oh, there's a fella there on about some TikTok you made there. He's seen a bonnet or a boot lid." And next thing the phones kept going and going. I ran into the Saturday and myself and my father worked the Saturday by just ourselves on Saturday. It's quiet. All the Saturdays are quiet. People come in slowly. The phones would ring slowly. From the minute we walked in, 9 o'clock, we have 3 phones in the store and they're all different lines. They're always going 3 different times. I've done a recording on Snapchat to show the lads like this has gone stupid. My father's just standing there in front of the screen of the computer. No one answering the phones because we couldn't keep up with them. Like, could not keep up with them at all. It was nuts. He just stood there with his cup of tea, the phones ringing, 3 different phones ringing at 3 different times. Every time you answer the phone, put the phone down, that phone would keep ringing, another fella coming in. There was on the computer, there was a 14 waiting list, 14 calls waiting. Never seen anything like it. And I got given out to that day, I tell you. And the Monday.
But
he didn't understand.
But they'd come round when they see.
Oh, he came around. He came around. The first time in the Monday then he was, shut it down. Shut the TikTok down. It's taking too much time. They're literally all the time ringing TikTok. Do you have? We didn't know what we had either. Nothing was documented. So we're 3 of us going around this looking for different panels and stuff for different people and holding stuff. And I was giving away a lot of it too. I was like, listen, instead of skipping it, I'll give away these. So I was like, yeah, come and collect it and you can have it before I dump it. And then after a while, people were coming and they were like, fair play to you. And they were shaking my hand and they're going to my father like, geez, fair play to him. Like, instead of just dumping them, you're giving them to people and you're giving them a second chance and you're giving them away cheap too. I was just like, listen, if people want to give me 10 or 20 quid for a grand, let work away. He turned a leaf, completely turned a leaf. And then we decided to have an open day on the following Saturday.
Yes. And
I said that at the end of one video, like, and I remember after saying it, and that video was up at like 40,000 views, and I was like, Jesus,
how many people is coming here?
If 100 people at that 40,000 come in at the same time, we're going to be wedged, like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I said it at the end, and I was afraid to promote it after that, but we had a little coffee stand, and after we had a fella come in with a coffee stand, and...
had you many for the day?
It was a constant flow.
Yeah.
On a Saturday, a constant 4 hours, we made more in 4 hours money than we have in a full day Friday with a team of 7 of us, like. It was nuts.
It's hard to appreciate. You see, there's so many businesses in the country, and you know, a lot of them have missed the trick on the kind of internet stuff and the social media and that. Like, there was a hardware. It was local enough to here. Now I won't say which one it was, you know, because I'd have to pass it by the manager or that. But I was in getting timber.
Yes,
and it was during the pandemic. And I basically said, you know, you have no internet presence at all. And he kind of says to me, well, people knows where we are and all that. And I went, yeah, but Mary in Kildare doesn't know who you are. Or Johnny in Louth doesn't know who you are. And I was travelling a good bit of the country and I knew that they were a bit cheaper than a lot of places.
Yes.
And he launched a website and it's going very well for them. It's going very well for them. And that's where I'd be. Do you know, there's a lot of older traditional businesses, and I'm telling you, unless they embrace it and get on the train with it, they're going to be left behind. That's the trouble.
I'd kind of disagree, because we spent a lot on advertising. We spent a lot on our website.
Yeah.
And we spend a lot every month maintaining our website.
Yeah.
With a different company, like we're in affiliation with a different company, we'll say.
Yeah.
And they maintain it and they do all that, and we have to upload all the cars and stuff like that. But we pay them for that maintenance of that website. But it
wasn't getting the traffic.
It gets the traffic. It does. They have every month they'll have the sheets and stuff. But like even Google Ads or whatever will say you'll be spending, if you spend $500 a month on it.
Jeez, I wouldn't spend nothing that.
Well, see, I was trying different things. I was trying to bring us out a bit more or whatever, doing a lot. I done a lot with Google, I done a lot with ads, and I tried different things, magazines, and you're paying, all the time paying. You'd nearly have to, like I was always saying, we'll have to budget for advertising throughout a year. But what you'd nearly have to budget something like, for a business our size, $5,000 is nothing for a budget for that.
Yeah.
Like, and you might, if you made a Google ad, you might see a couple of calls that someone would say then if they did a call, oh, I seen you on Google, or I seen you here.
Yeah.
I made a TikTok video, and nothing but people ringing now is, I seen the TikTok video.
Yeah, but
everything is.
That'd be my angle of it. The social media, don't ever underestimate the reach of it.
Yeah.
Do you know, like in 2016, I was a young lad sitting in a digger in England, and then all of a sudden, my parents was ringing me, what have you done? Do you know, neighbours, this one, that one, Jesus Christ, this video is all over the place. But as a business, if you're not giving yourself the opportunity to have that moment, we'll say, you're missing a trick. So do you know, like what you done there is probably blasted all your advertisement money for the past 10, 20 years into proportion that what you done in 30 seconds or a minute meant more than all of that. Do you know? Yeah. And this is why, do you know, I kind of look at, and some people might write them off, the kind of influencer and, a quick video about the business or that.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't write them off, because as far as I'm concerned, I think they do a lot for a business.
They do. Know? And we're trying different things like that and finding something that will work for that business.
And as well as that, you're now the face, and your dad is the face of the business. Whereas with a lot of the conventional advertising, you never really get to know.
That's another story in itself. Before I made that TikTok video, when I was showing, we'll say, all the shelves and stuff like that, my friend Stephen was beside me, and I said to him, like, it started to blow up, and he was there, geez, that's blowing up, like. And I said, will I be one of those fellas that you'll only see my hand pointing at everything? Or will I show my face? And he goes, sure, you only have 100, there's only less than 100 followers. I don't think you'll get many followers from doing this anyway. I was like, I'll show your ugly mug, he said. And I just turned the camera around and started talking into it. Other than that, you'd be just seeing my hand. Like, it was just his quick, I'll show your ugly mug, who's going to see it moment that flipped the camera around, and then it was my face.
You owe that man a pint.
I owe that man a pint. He's a great man. And he's been great. He's been great throughout.
But it is the truth. If you have a face to a business, a character, anything like that, take them, for instance, and I do love watching their videos, and that is the Grassmen fellas?
Yeah.
Do you know? But really what they're doing is documenting a job that most of us in the farming community knows a bit about, which is bringing in the silage or that. But it's the characters.
The characters, yeah.
It's them lads themselves and who they travel round to, and you get to kind of know the people. And
But did you ever find, you do, like we'll say with the Grassmen and all that, did you ever find that when you're doing that sort of job, you're doing it, you know it, it's repetitive to you, but yet you see yourself watching someone else do it later that evening? I never could understand that. Like, even with me, I'm doing that work, and it never clicked that people actually who do that work are very interested in what I'm doing too. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Well, the how do I say it? I suppose really where it clicked for me was when I started putting up more of the farm. And then myself and Darren, we were kind of looking at a group. It was called Off Grid Ireland, and it was people talking about homesteading and natural remedies and stuff like that. And all of a sudden you realise, like, how many's on that? Would there be 30, 40,000 people on that, Darren?
Maybe a couple of thousand.
Yeah. I think 40 PR said the other evening that are...
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't be surprised.
But all of a sudden you realise I'm not the only one who kind of is interested in this thing, you know. And we had an event here on the farm where we said to people who were on the off-grid group, you know, if you'd like to come down, and they did come, and we all exchanged numbers and got to know each other. And all of a sudden you have a friend group, and all of them are kind of interested in what you're interested in, which is nice, or that. And I'm noticing now you're getting a lot of fellas like Stanfix and stuff like that who are mechanically minded. Falvey was up to you. You have all these
I've
fellas.
met some amazing people.
Yeah.
And like, I mean,
and that's only in three weeks, like.
Only in 3 weeks, yeah. I can't tell you how the amount of people I've met that are just truly amazing. Advice, everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing people like Falvey, Stanfix, all these fellas. Just the advice they've been giving me, the coaching. I didn't have a clue. I was like, Falvey was kind of the fella who turned me around on coming here. I was like, geez, I don't think I can do a podcast. I've never done anything like that. Of
course you can. Why wouldn't you?
Falvey, take it by the horns and do it.
Yeah.
That sort of attitude. And he pushed me to it, really kind of, like, he didn't push me. I was like, geez, yeah, you're right. Just do it. Like, sure.
But you see, your man, the lad from Era College as well, David, he was on about the same thing.
But he was down in the yard. He's never been in our yard before.
Yeah.
And I'd see him in Fastway, coming out of Fastway, because I'd be dropping parcels in a Fastway, but I'd never seen how are you to him or anything. Like, I'd never really clicked, like. And
but you weren't on social media at all, really.
I was, but I wouldn't be. Jesus, when I say I'm not that smart with the social media side of it, I'm not. It took 3 grown men like myself, Stephen and Tommy, 3 of us, 3 hours to get my Snapchat on public.
Yes.
Like, that's how, like, just because Falvey said, get on Snapchat, that's where it is, kid. And I was there like, right, we'll get on Snapchat. How the hell do you make it public? Like, and there's 3 of us, 3 hours trying to make my Snapchat public, where then a 15-year-old comes in, 10 minutes, explains it, job done.
Well, you see, this is, like, I'm very lucky. I have Darren here who helps me do the recording, does the editing, all of that. I am running absolutely nothing except TikTok, and I'm not great at TikTok to know how to do it myself anyways. But we have Darren there, and Darren's young fellow Owen there is in the corner. Another whiz at all of this stuff.
I got the conversation at start, an absolute whiz on it.
But I don't think people realise if you just speak to someone who knows a little bit about it, how much it can improve what you can do. Do you know?
It's amazing what the younger generation, do you know, there'd be a bit of speak about how useless they are, but when you see them doing this thing.
No, they're brilliant.
They're brilliant at that, like. Yeah. I'm not saying they're useless, like, but I'm saying, like, you always, I don't know, growing up in Ireland anyway, when you're young, you're useless, like.
Yeah, but
then you kind of get to the stage of you're handy, and then you're good, and then you're good at what you do, like.
Well, as I always said, when you're in your teens and 20s, nobody thinks you can do anything.
That's it, like.
And then when you get to your mid-20s or that, they start giving you kind of
you're not too
normal
bad.
enough.
Yeah.
But when you get to your late 20s or that, you're left doing... It's a strange thing. It's like coming to a cliff edge where it's, you know nothing, you know a little bit, and then all of a sudden, if you're any good at all, they're just saying, well, what's wrong with you? Just do it.
Just do it, yeah.
Do you know? Yeah. Whereas you're kind of saying, but last month you were telling me, do you know, forget about last month, just do it now. That's it. I seen a mighty, what are they called, meme or that about it is 100 million projects left to young fellas that couldn't sit in a chair at school. That's what it is. Do you know?
Yeah.
But
they're great at social media. Like,
oh, they're brilliant.
Jeez, they're different gravy. Different gravy. When I say, like, I couldn't believe 3 grown men couldn't get a stupid feature on Snapchat to work, and then a 15-year-old explains it to me. Well, actually, it could be 17-year-olds explains it to me. Kieran, Falvey's one of Falvey's little media managers. Unbelievable lad. And he's there, talked me through the whole thing within 10 minutes.
But it's one of those as well. Never judge a book by its cover, because I seen when I had the camping and stuff going on here, do you know?
Yeah.
There was a lad down there, I think I mentioned it on one of the podcasts before, and he was in a big tent, and he had a Volkswagen van beside it and a few surfboards thrown on the top of it and all this. And if you met him, do you know, if you met him down at the filling station, you'd think, he's a bit of a surfer, a bit of a hippy-dippy.
Yeah.
This guy was well up in one of the major companies in Europe, and he was doing his job from his little surfing holiday. So you're talking about a guy who was on hundreds of thousands a year, and if you spoke to him, he was a lovely fella, but you couldn't realise how much he was making and how he didn't look like it at all.
Yes.
So there's a lot of young people in this country who are doing very well for themselves.
Yeah.
And you might have older people who'd look at them and say, "Oh, Jesus, a pair of Air Maxes and he's at nothing."
Yeah.
They can be doing very well for themselves, so they can. Yeah. So what's your plan to kind of go on from, like, you've had this moment, it's gone real well for these couple of weeks, and I think this is interesting for people, is what's your plan now to push on from this point?
Well, I started driving the truck then, because what I seen with driving the truck and picking up cars and bringing them to garages, that nearly every garage in Ireland, any garage man in Ireland has a little project car. So I started going in, recording these fellas with their project cars, and any car I see interesting, I stop and I start going in and questioning them, recording it. And that seems to be just taking off now. People love to see that.
Well,
and
you see, I'm watching them videos now, and I think you've hit on a little gold mine, because like, even I'm not that mechanically minded, but there was a lad you were with the other day, and he was big into the cars, but it was the tractors that I was...
The tractors, we're doing a big thing on tractors, because literally I showed that little showcase of your man's yard, and he had tractors, and he's like, "Oh, that one's going to be for sale, and that one's in the bushes, it'll start on a good tow." Like, and I was like, "Can we tow that one day and show this?" And he's like, yeah. But next thing you know, I showed a bit of that clip in with the video of the tractors that you spotted, and literally the next day, 200 new followers, and every single one of them a tractor profile picture.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah, but you see, it's... If you're not driving the country, you don't see it.
But I just didn't. You just don't. Like, I took a little snapshot of a tractor, and I said, "Let people guess what this is." I mean, this was in Briars and everything.
Yeah.
And the amount of people that got it right.
Yeah.
And I was telling him, I was like, they got it right. Like, they were saying it was a Zetor, and there was another one, Newfin or something like that. And
a Nuffield.
Nuffield, that's it. That's a Nuffield or a Zetor, and it was a Zetor. And he said to me, it's a Zetor 3511. But there was people going Nuffield. And he's like, "Oh, they're saying it's Nuffield because it's that shade of red, but it's just that it's faded, but it is a Zetor."
Yeah.
And people were getting it right.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it. Like, you couldn't make head nor tail of this.
Yeah, but you see, you could be real interested in tractors or cars, but if you're working, we'll say you're working a factory job. So you go to work, you do your shift, you come home.
Yeah.
You're not down a back road where there's a hay shed and all of a sudden you see a Cortina or something like that. Whereas with yourself, you're doing the travelling, and people is genuinely interested in what you're kind of seeing on your travels.
Most of the time I'm in garages and dropping cars off or collecting old cars, and I've seen so much stuff that even I be kind of going, that's class. Now I get a chance to record it and show people.
Yeah.
And to say I don't enjoy it is an understatement. I really, really enjoy doing that.
Well, we had a mate growing up. He was my best mate's older brother. Colin was his name. And now he's fitting out factories all around the world. So he's big into mechatronics and all that. But he bought, I think it was a Toyota Supra, a really old one.
Yeah, flip-up headlight one.
Yeah. And... like, they had a digital dash when nothing had a digital dash.
Yeah.
But he had this wired in such a way that there was a button start on it. He could start it from away on the key.
Yeah.
And turn on the lights and all this. And then he had a Nissan Sunny that you could start on the key. Like, I mean, when you were 10 or 12 foot away from it. And he was just experimenting with wiring.
Yeah.
And we thought he was the coolest fella.
Yeah.
And quiet as a mouse, really nice fella, but we thought he was God, do you know,
Yeah.
with what he could do with these cars. And there's so many characters like that in Ireland, and they get no recognition
No.
at all. People just know what they're
And
doing,
they
you know.
deserve it. They really do.
Oh, God,
they need to showcase. Like they need that outlet, and
Yeah.
I think I'm just that voice for that.
Well, it's like, you know our mate Frit, Darren?
Yeah, I do indeed.
Absolutely savage man, welding, blacksmithing, anything like that. Now he's done the handrail going up the stairs in our house, and he's made it out of the rim of a horse cart.
Oh yes,
But when I was asking him to do it, he kind of goes, "Well, what do you want?" And I told him, "Well, you know, it's an old house, but it's done in the new. I want something that's new but old." And I says, "I really like nature." And he goes, "Right." That was all I said.
That's all you give them.
And all the brackets now are oak leaves, holly, ash, oak. And he done all of this on me just going, old but new, and I like a bit of nature. The man's a genius.
Yeah.
Do you know? And the leaves are the leaf. Do you know? They look like the leaf, so they do. And yeah, I think Ireland is filled with these fellas that...
Oh, they are 100%. And I know exactly what you're on about. And I have friends and I have people that are exactly the same. Gifted people. Things. There's a man down my way, and I need to talk to him to just. He has to just talk me even through his little collection of old cars are class. But he's an English wheel, and he made a bonnet of a tractor, and I mean he made it from scratch, and it was perfect.
Well, when you say the English wheel, that's like the panel beating. when you're
Yeah,
going through
he's
it.
all these old English kind of panel beating tools, like big machines, folders, and English wheels to get the curve in them and everything. And he can make a panel perfect. I mean, like you give him anything, give him that envelope, he'll make the crease in it, he'll do everything. He made a bonnet of the tractor, and he was showing me, and I was just like, that's identical to this rusty one. He was copying this old rusty one. Couldn't believe he made cabs of tractors and everything. I need to get down to him. He's doing a friend's car at the minute, and he's making these patch panels that are, I mean, perfect patch panels.
What age of a man is he, Kev?
I'd say be late 60s anyway. Yeah.
You see, that's where I'm seeing it now. And there's another man there in Tubber. He does the heads on yokes, and he has the yoke for grinding them off and all that.
Yeah, the old.
All
mills.
men is in their late 60s, 70s at the moment.
There's no one to replace them. Is that what you're coming to?
Yeah.
I don't know anyone my age that could do what that man can do.
Well, you see, this is the point, because, to be a mechanic years ago, you had to be able to fix something.
Yeah.
Yeah, make a part, maybe bodge it a little bit, keep the yoke going. Whereas now, it's a lot of it is fitting.
Yeah.
It's the part comes in the parcel, you take out the old part, you put in the new part, and the old part is thrown into the skip
There's
at the end of the shed.
no repairing anything at all. If something breaks, you replace as much around that and that unit as you can. Like, you don't just repair the little bit that's broken inside. If it's an electrical part and it's a diode or something gone, you replace the whole lot. If it's a hub, you don't replace the bearing, you replace the whole lot. Do you know that's the way it's gone? It's a throwaway nation.
Yeah, but you see, my difficulty with that is you'll hear these greens and all of these talk about reuse, recycle and that. Years ago, first and foremost, things were made to last longer, do you know? But you could fix it.
Yes.
Now they're actively doing things to prevent you from fixing it.
Yeah.
Do you know, panels that can't be removed? Like, it's a simple thing. We had a washing machine there. Bought it when the house was new.
Yeah.
So now it does a lot of washing. But there was panels in it to prevent you from getting in to where the moving parts were to see maybe what was wrong.
Yeah.
Whereas I remember my dad years ago had this old Zanussi one. That had to be fixed 5 or 6 times, do you know? But you could fix it.
You could fix it, yeah.
Whereas with these new ones, unless you're really, really handy, it's difficult enough to fix them, do you know?
It is.
Do you notice that with the new motors or that, the new cars?
Yeah.
They're preventing you from doing a lot of the work yourself.
Oh,
Even
yeah,
to change a light bulb, sometimes.
Yeah, a light bulb is
like-
difficult enough now.
yeah, front bumper
Compared
off.
to-
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, some front bumper headlights, though, that's come off just to change a bulb. Like it's gone that way. It's gone that way, and it's also there's another big thing too, where we'll say you crash your car now,
Yeah.
and you go through insurance.
Yeah.
Well, and the insurance go, right, bring it to my designated place for fixing or whatever, the crash repair centre. You'll have to get all new panels for that car. The insurance will only pay for all new panels. They will not pay for second-hand panels. So I'll give you, like, we'll say a door. I have the same colour door as you in my yard. They're for 100 quid. But the insurance want that door brand new, but they don't have it in Ireland, they have it in France. Ship it over. It's grey, it's primed, it's not ready for paint, it needs painting. Get it painted, fitted. All that legwork, because they won't use second-hand parts, they have to be new parts. Isn't that a bad old...
Yeah, but you see, this is where I have the difficulty with them telling you about, green and
Yeah.
carbon and all
It's
that.
awful waste. I always found that wasteful. Like, I always had that thing. The only people that come to us are the likes of yourself or mechanics in around the area fixing up a car that wouldn't be going through insurance. If it goes through insurance, everything has to be brand spanking new. Can't use second-hand stuff.
And they're more inclined now, I'd say, as well, to write them off.
Oh yeah, not as bad as England now. A scratch in England they could write a car off. Ireland, they'd write them off, but there's more value in categorying them differently, not full write-off. So there's different categories in Ireland.
Can you explain that just for the
So-
audience there? Because, there'll be some people watching might know it, but I'd say a lot of people won't know. So what is the categories?
Right, so category B is complete write-off, end of life, has to come to a facility like ourselves. Can never be put on the road. Category B. That's pretty bad now. That'd be gone into the ocean or rolled and all the airbags out or chassis bent or just complete uneconomical repair can never be put on the road. Category B.
Right.
Then you've C, which is heavy hit. So C with heavy, usually airbags out because it's awful price for airbags, chassis leg bent. It'd be damaged fairly bad, like we'll say. And then you have A, B. A is arson. Sorry, I'm missing one now. D is light damage. So big panel damage can be repaired. Nothing too hectic. But what we're seeing now with insurance companies is there's a lot of Ds and Cs, but there's not many Bs because there's more value in a D and C because people will try repair it. Do you know what I'm saying? It drives the price up a lot more if it's a less category, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So on the auction sites, they'll put it as a C when you can clearly see it's a B, like. And B,
All
do you know
right.
what I mean? So that drives the price up a bit more because, but even like, let's say a Cat C, you can buy a Cat C, any man can buy a Cat C. A Cat B can only like ourselves, only ATFs, so authorised treatment facilities like ourselves can buy Cat Bs.
And
So
can-
when you say a car is a Cat C,
Yeah.
and you want to buy it for breaking, you can buy it. So that drives the price up again. Do you know what I mean? Any man can buy it, and they can go, I'll just take the engine out of that for this car. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It just drives the price up of them.
So the C and D is open to a public auction.
Exactly, yeah. It's open to anyone can buy them. And a B is only for end of life. That's
And
only
would-
for facilities.
Would there be a bit of tricking going on that maybe you spotted a C and you said, if that was a B, it'd
I'd
suit me?
see cars that are definitely Bs that are being sold as Ds, that they shouldn't be. But it drives the price up because I suppose if you had when you have a facility like our own, there's costs involved. So obviously we have employees and we have overheads and we have insurance and stuff like that. So we have to try buy that car fairly right to sell the parts, to make the money, to pay for all this stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I'd value a car on, I might get the gearbox, I might get that backlight, I might get this, but I have to make profit at the end of the day because I am a business.
Yeah.
But when you categorise it to a C, you're looking for an engine. You can buy that car, or you'd have a bit more. You go I'd use that car for parts.
Yeah.
And you won't come through us, obviously, or you can sell them parts off. You don't have overheads like we do. It just drives the value that little bit more when they're in that category. Do you know what I mean? When they're in a category B, we can see it. We can see the value of that car, like, and we can go, right, and we have to make profit because we are a business. But when they're C's, we buy C's for breaking, but like the fact that just the prices, sometimes a crash car can make more than a perfect car. Do you know what I'm saying? It's nuts, like. It's ridiculous sometimes the auctions, the way they go. And what I've seen lately too is the insurances are ringing us back saying they'll have to get 2,000 for this car. And I was like, sure, I'm after winning it on the auction for €1,000. Why do I have to pay it? Why are you stating to me how much I should pay? Like, I can see the value. And I won this auction, so I've won against everyone else. Why do I have to pay for that? Like,
You wouldn't, would you, though?
oh no, I never do. I always have the old argument, why are ye telling me what to pay for something that
That's cheeky enough, like, to ring and say, I know you're
yeah,
after buying it.
yeah, I always say that, and I'm like, that car is rolled. Like, can you not see there's no panels on it? And I'm taking a chance on the engine because when a car is rolled, you just don't know. You're buying a car on pictures too. I say that to them, and they're like, oh, well, we need to get an extra €1,000 out of that. And they ring around until someone accepts it, like.
The price of new cars, used cars, crashed cars, like the last couple of years has gone
Skyrocketed,
through the
yeah.
roof. Like, what, in your opinion, is behind that? Is it all supply?
Supply, demand, VRT. I suppose, like, when there's a supply and demand like that, I suppose COVID slowed it down too, like all the imports and stuff, and then Brexit. There's not much English cars coming in, and
Yeah.
there's a lot. That's just a can of worms in itself. Like, that's just.
Well, Brexit, do you know, if you're in that business, the amount of damage you've done is outrageous, so it is.
Yeah.
But I think there's another aspect to it too, Kev, is an awful lot of the car manufacturers decided to go down this electric route and
Didn't take off for them.
I think they were kind of making the bargain that they said, you know, if we make enough of them, eventually everyone will have them. I don't want one.
No.
And even, I'll be truthful about it, I've sat in them. I've been in Teslas and that in Spain and Holland and all that. And apparently they're very nice to drive and all that. But I don't know. I don't want it. I like the idea, my diesel van.
Reliable
car.
and get you there. Just
Yeah.
fill it up when she's low. Job done. Yeah.
And apart from that, I don't like the idea of, we'll say, a long trip and having to plan where you stop and having to plan how long you're going to be there. And I don't see any electric car on the market at the moment that I could say, do you know something?
No.
I feel like going to Limerick today. So I get to Limerick and I say, I'm in Limerick now. I'm going to see my mate in Tipperary. I'll go run down there. Feck it, I'm in Tip now. I may as well spin down to Kerry. Which is, you know, I can do that. If I have my diesel van, I can just say, I'm going to do that. Whereas with these electric cars, you really have to plan it out. So
oh, you do. But the technology, see, I always have this fight. I'm not into electric cars myself. Or hybrids or anything like that. I think hybrids, too many moving parts. Electric is just not there yet. It's just like the phones. It's just like phones. You know, they're just not there with the technology.
Yeah.
Once they get a bit of range, once they get 1,000 kilometre range,
Yeah.
it's a no-brainer. There's no moving parts really in them. There's no oil changes. There's nothing. Once they get 1,000 kilometre range, like, that'll be it for petrol and diesel, I'd say. That'll be that's my own opinion on it, because, like, you have to think, when you service a car, you're servicing oil filters, diesel filters, brake pads, discs, all that'll be nearly gone. The brakes in an electric car are only there for a backup because the EU.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? When you press the brake, it's the motor recharging the battery. It's slowing, it's backtracking the motor to recharge the battery. It's not using the brake pads, it's not using the discs. So that's less servicing. The only time you'll change brake pads in an electric vehicle is because the discs have gone rusty. Do you not know that?
I don't know jack shit about them, to be truthful.
Yeah, but like,
about
you
it.
think about, like, there's going to be no moving parts at all. It's like just like the phones. Like, everything will get to a stage, but there's no moving parts in them electric cars. There's an electric motor and that's it, and a battery.
But how many men is that going to put out of work?
Yeah,
Because
like the backyard mechanic, the little garages, 100%. There's always, in Ireland anyway, we're such a unique little island, I don't think petrol or diesel is ever going to fully go. Like, there's always going to be, and people are holding on to their cars more. And I've seen that since my fiasco with the panels there. They're definitely holding on to the car. There are Creanies in every fucking shed around Ireland from the amount of phone calls I get for fucking Creanie E-parts.
But are they being held as kind of nostalgia pieces because, or are they in everyday use, or what?
Like all them old diesels. If you watch my videos at the start, I started cars that have been there for 20 years in our yard. Like I think it was a Nissan Bluebird. Put the jump box on it, fired up. I had an old Transit on my video there. Put the jump box on, fired up.
What year is the Transit?
92, I think it was. An old smiley Transit. The DI engine, an old carb engine. It's on my videos. You're not watching my videos at all, are you, James?
I didn't see that one because I'd be interested in that.
But I had the Nissan Bluebird. If you look at that Nissan Bluebird, you see how clapped out it was. I didn't think it had even started. It fired up like it was, like it started yesterday. And it's sitting in our yard for 20 years. Roof caved in from the rust. Grass growing out of every orifices of it. It was just ridiculous how... And it started. And it ran like... You turned it off yesterday.
What condition is the Transit in?
The Transit... Well, you never...
I haven't seen this, Kevin.
There's a big story on the Transit. So the Transit came in.
Yeah.
So this is just a story. This is another one of my TikTok stories now. The Transit came in and I done a video on it. And I done a video starting it with my apprentice. And we started, and I done the video of it starting. It started up like it was never standing. Your man was telling me, the original owner was telling me then, it was standing for 5 years. But it started like nothing, and it drove. And I done the video, and that video went big anyway. Next thing, the original people who brought that camper van in got in contact with me.
Right.
Finian is his name. Blueprint Autos or Cracking Campers in Roscommon. He rang me. He got my number, rang me, and he said, I brought that camper van originally. That started off Cracking Campers. They have something like 100 camper vans now they hire out all around Ireland. But that was its original camper van that they brought in. It was the original fleet, the one that started everything.
And is he going buying her?
So what happened was that came in for breaking. And when cars come in for breaking, that's
never
it.
see them again.
That's it. But for the first time in history... And it's because of TikTok, and it's because of the people and the following. We reversed it. And now it resides in Roscommon in Cracking Campers Yard, where I think they're going to put it in their showroom as a like the montage to their first one, or the original one.
That's class.
Isn't it? That's on my TikTok. That was one of the things I done that kind of... I just started doing these things, like, and I made... Like, it's amazing how the business has changed because of TikTok. It's amazing.
Well, amazing. That's absolutely. There was a Ford Granada Hirsch here. My uncle bought it one night.
You never seen the Scorpio so Hirsch I had down there on TikTok too. That's another video and another viral video that went boom.
I know the one about the panels, and I know the one about the event you're having and all that.
You know all of them ones, do you?
I bet you Owen would know all of them as I would. But there was a Ford Granada Hirsch here. The uncle bought it when he was pished one evening. And
as you do,
there was bales of straw in it, there was doors, there was windows, the whole lot. She was a great joke. But anyways, when he died, I suppose my poor mother, she says, my mother and father were both in that hearse and it's not staying round here. She wasn't happy when Merton had it. But anyways, it was a son of his partner that got it. And apparently, it's done up to the nines in the UK, and it goes round on these motor shows. It was an exhaust company that bought it, and they have an exhaust where the coffin is meant to be. And
yes.
Such exhausts, we bury the competition. And I thought,
amazing.
What a story, like,
what a story, yeah.
Yeah. So there's this full, straight bright chrome exhaust or whatever.
Yeah,
it is. You
can showcase it in through the glasses.
But I never think looking at a Hirsch, do you know what? I'm an exhaust manufacturer. That's the perfect advertisement for me.
We hated Hearses down the garage. Hated them, not because of any reason of death or anything, but they're full of wood and fiberglass.
Yes.
So they're impossible, like, dispose of correctly, because you really have to take out all the wood and all the fiberglass, put them through the car baler. You'd poison half of Ballyhonus with the fiberglass. You know,
It
like,
comes off them.
like, you know, it's just they're not nice to do anything with.
And
But we take them in because we were meant to take them in. But I had that Scorpio, or Ford Scorpio. I put it on the TikTok.
is it sold?
No, I didn't sell it. Better again. Engine sold out of it. This is over TikTok. In about 3 days, engine was sold, rear diff was sold, back half shafts were sold. What else did a man buy? The rear bumper and the rear shocks. And a rear bumper for a hearse is unique to a hearse. Was sold to a man in Cork. Came all the way from Cork and got
He
it.
has the hearse.
He has a Scorpio hearse and he wanted a rear bumper. You'd not get a rear bumper for a fucking Scorpio hearse, I'll tell you that. But he found one on my TikTok. He's seen it on the TikTok. And he bought the 2 rear shocks because they're unique. Because the weight of them and, oh, jeez. As I said, the old man turned around on it. It was the hearse was probably the turning point, because that was sitting there. Could do nothing with hearses. As I said, you could do nothing. You could just let them sit there, and when you get a bit of time, you'll have to take the wood out, all the old teak or whatever's in them, you know, all the wood and all the. You have to really spend time getting them prepared to dispose of correctly, like.
Yeah.
So we just throw them down the back of the yard and just forget about them.
Yeah.
Made a TikTok on it. 4 days later, that Scorpio is completely gutted. Everything gone off it.
Well, it's really shown you, I'd say, that there's a market for everything. I often heard people saying that years ago, there's a market for everything, and you think, nah, you're daft. But there's one like in Inniscrone, the seaweed bats.
Yes.
And I remember years ago hearing people, you know, who'd want that?
Yeah.
Everyone. Do you know, you see people from everywhere in the country now, and they're making their way, and they're having their seaweed bath and their sauna and all of that. There's all these businesses in Ireland that people thinks, it's no more than here. Who would have thought people would want to come from all over the world and stay in a couch table and Airbnb in it? But they did.
They did.
And the only reason we really found out is because we went, we'll try. Do you know?
Well, I remember you telling me that. I remember you were doing this place up.
Yeah.
For that reason. And I was thinking to myself, that man is a freaking genius. Because everyone wanted to get out home. It was just after COVID, no travelling. And like everyone was doing the old in Ireland kind of getting away in Ireland. And you just said, I'm doing this cowshed up as a Airbnb.
What year was it you were married?
Jesus Christ, I'm bad with dates. Was it 3 years ago? Was
Yeah,
it 2020?
it's about that, yeah.
It was like kind of coming out of COVID. The travel ban was just gone and all that.
Because that time, like I'll never forget it, the Ukraine war. Yeah, that was it. The Ukraine war had just started the year or something. 21. So it was.
Jeez, I won't forget it because your one died in England, the Queen.
21.
21.
Yeah. Lizzie the Lizard went down. Sure, little girl said she did. What's it called? I remember it was in Calpe, beside Alicante.
Yeah.
And we were down. Do you know where that big rock is?
Yeah, the big rock. I don't even know what it's called, but yeah.
We were down there. You weren't there. Myself and Roshan. And I seen this car transporter coming in with nothing but Range Rovers and X5s and yokes like that.
Yeah.
All on Ukrainian plates. I better not mention your man's name because he's actually on the run, but he's a northern man. And he let a roar at me. And I seen who it was, and I let her roar back. I says, what are you doing? And he says, will you tell them goms at home, stop sending these money? And I can't tell you, we had such a good time at your wedding because it was, just as you said, it was when you could travel again.
It was when you could travel, and everyone wanted to travel.
Oh, it was brilliant, so it was. And it wasn't, where we were staying, it wasn't real busy. It was just right.
Yeah, it was lovely. Yeah.
And I used to go up to the bar, do San Miguel, por favor, one for me, one for herself. Celia May was in and out of the pool. Everything was
lovely. Yeah.
Everything was lovely. So
30 degrees was awful hot for an Irishman. Anyway, geez, that was the hottest that I've ever been.
When your ceremony was on, by Christ, that was warm.
I had a full fucking suit from it.
I know you did. Jeez, I don't know how you done it. I was down the back with.
I lost a few stone that time. Anyway, I'll tell you that.
Well, I didn't. I think I was down the back with kind of short sleeves and that on me. So when I seen everyone in suits, I couldn't believe it.
I was sweating. I tell you that. I remember going to your one. Hurry it up, get it done.
You put on a great day. So you did. What was it? Your decision or Rachel's decision, or what put she on the the wedding elsewhere? Do you know?
Okay.
Because I loved it.
I know.
Really loved it.
A lot of people told me they enjoyed it, and it's probably it's definitely one of the things that has annoyed me and has kind of stuck in my head is I'm just not. I wasn't prepared to have a big wedding. I wasn't able to have a big wedding. I didn't like the big crowds.
Yeah.
I'm not that kind of person.
Yeah.
And like I'm doing videos now, I'm doing a podcast here. I've completely changed. I've turned the leaf. But yeah, no. I said to her, I don't want a big wedding, and she said, "Well, can we have a foreign wedding and we can keep it small?" And I said, "Yeah, that'll do." She wanted the big Irish. I wanted the small. The compromise was we have to have it abroad. And
but it wasn't that small. So it wasn't. How many was that?
It was 100.
It didn't feel small, if you get me. It felt
it was nice. Wedding. It was nice, but I always my biggest regret was I could have invited another 100 more.
Yeah,
and definitely could have done it, but I was afraid. I was really afraid. I just didn't like the crowds. I was afraid of the speech.
You done well.
I'll tell you, there was a girl at home, and I spent weeks with her going over that speech.
Fair play to you.
Yeah, an absolute amazing woman at home.
Yeah.
Her name's Evelyn. She knows she done amazing. And we went over the speech because just to get the confidence, because I just didn't have the confidence. And that's the truth. Like, I just didn't think I was able for it. Just like I didn't think I was able to come here and...
you're doing so.
But I'm trying to push myself. I'm trying to push myself out. I'm trying to be the nail that sticks out and not get hammered too hard. Like, do you know what I mean?
I'm with you. But you see, it's one of those, it's in business and in life and all that at the moment, you're as well to kind of go with it a little bit or that.
Yeah.
But Jesus, I enjoyed your wedding immensely.
Yeah,
and we went, was it for dinner the night after or something? That was even
since the night I met you, like, me and you have been fairly chatting away all the time. I've great respect and time for you, like, and
it's one of those that was, as I said, I went out, herself knew Rachel. I says,
they worked together.
Yeah. I says, I don't know anyone. She says, you'll be all right.
Fine, yeah.
But geez, I met one of the lads was driving a trucker there. Does he drive for...
Danny Larkin, probably.
Yeah, he drives for Gill, is it, or that?
Oh, that's not Danny Larkin, no. Gill.
Is he at Beef?
That's Larkin. He'd be driving for Larkin himself, yeah.
Jeez, he's good crack.
Oh, he's mad. He's great crack. He's great crack. Yeah.
I was trying my best to corrupt him, so I was out there. We can make money together, my friend. He was having none of it. Yeah. No, he was a good lad.
No, all my friends would be great crack. Like,
yeah.
No, it's just little pure headers and great lads. Like,
I have to say, if anyone is having a wedding in Spain, Calpe.
Yeah, it was lovely. It was lovely.
It was good. It was very good, so it was. Now, back to what we were on here. I have to get on to you about your modern car, favourite one. What's the best car on the market at the moment? I know, I'll tell you, give me two categories. Family, and then a weekend on your shelf. A good yoke to drive. What's your two favourites?
A driver's car, like, out of reach for everyone.
It doesn't matter out of reach. This is only
GT3 RS Porsche, like.
Yeah.
GT3 RS Porsche. That's the one. That's the King Ding-a-ling.
Would you ever go to one of these track days to
experience one?
Yeah.
I've gone to Nürburgring and I've rented out cars and I go to Mondello whenever I can. Like,
how much does it cost at Nürburgring? I've often wanted to do that.
Jeez, I haven't been there in years, but when I was going there, it was like €23. I don't know what it is now. A lap.
To sit in the yoke and go around?
To drive. Oh, no. If you want to hire a car.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'll tell you a story about that. Went to hire a car. And it's like, it's whatever, 600, 700, and you get X amount of laps. It's like, oh, yeah, that sound. They never tell you about the excess.
Oh, if anything happens, is it?
There's me, a bit fresh behind the ears, hands in my debit card. No. Credit card needed. I'd hand in the old company card to get to make sure the excess. I didn't want... I swear I was like this behind the steering wheel, afraid to fucking drive it on, like, just in case. Yeah. Oh, Jesus, no. I went over my own car, but that's the way to go, but just get something like an old Clio with a cage in it, so you can rent them and just...
Yeah.
The excess isn't too bad, like, if you write them off, you're not going to You're not going to have to remortgage the house or anything.
Would you see someone pegging them over nearly every day there?
Oh
Probably.
yes, oh yeah. The track gets stopped all the time, and now they're gone a lot stricter. So there's people as you drive back into the paddock. There's people there watching if there's any sort of damage on your car, or to think you went into the gravel at all, or if there's any leaks out of your car, they'll put you into a segregation box there where they inspect the car. And if you're leaking water or oil and anyone goes off behind you, you're liable for them. You're liable for everyone who goes off.
I often thought of just heading off with a yoke from here and
I've
landing.
done it, yeah. I've done it and drove back with no brake pads. I've done it and literally drove back with no brake pads. Driving all the way back to France and then 12 hours drive back and then to France and then onto the boat and then back home.
Well, I sat on the back of a Suzuki Hayabusa in Germany with a man, he was from Romania. And on the Autobahn, he opened her up. And I think there was 250k on her when I closed my eyes.
Yeah.
I was sitting pillion behind him. And I know he went faster. And I can't tell people the rush you get going at that speed.
Well, I was on
It's
the Autobahn in
outrageous.
Evo.
Yeah.
And the fucking thing, I had the limiter in it. 180k is all you do. I was sick and the limiter was in it that day. I forgot to say, there was a wire to cut and I never cut it. Thinking, oh sure, all the lads were passing me out in their fucking VTEC Civics and fucking everything. All the lads that came with us.
Yeah.
They all just flew by me there, just can't go any faster, lateral limiter in it.
But I'd say if you had any car that you thought was quick,
Yeah.
it's a humbling experience because some of the cars in Germany, they're outrageous.
Outrageous, yeah. And the grip now is just ridiculous too. Like they're
Like
so-
you think you're fast until you're on one of them autobahns and then
And they
all of a
just fly
sudden,
by, yeah.
You know, they go past you like you're in reverse. That's it. Like.
You'll be doing 180k and your car's passing you like you're sitting still.
Yeah.
No, ridiculous stuff, like ridiculous. And
They're in bother now at the moment though with the car industry over there, Germany. Like they really went hard down this electric route, and it's just
it's
not kicking
panning
off.
out. No. It's hard to know where it's going to go. Like there's so many people. People are losing jobs already over there.
Oh, there's Volkswagen,
yeah.
closing 3 plants or something like that.
Yeah. It's not a good space at the minute.
No.
But sure, the prices of them went through the roof, like, and expecting the average person to start paying for that. You're financing them for years, like.
Yeah, but you see, you know that company from China, BYD or that?
Yeah. Oh, them markets are coming in now. They'll be coming into Ireland big too, I'd say, and that'll take
When
off.
do you think they'll take off rightly here? I'd say it's fairly shortly.
Yeah, I'd say very shortly. I don't know exactly when, but yeah, you're right. They will. And once that happens, then that's when competitiveness will come back into the market with the Volkswagen and stuff.
Well, it's like that, are they called Dacias or that?
Yeah.
Like I remember when they were coming first, people says, oh, they
They're
won't.
a waste of time.
Yeah.
They're the greatest and easiest car to work on. They're basically a Nissan Qashqai. If we'd say the Dacia Dusters are basically a Nissan Qashqai.
Yeah.
But they're the older Nissan Qashqai, where the newer ones are the more modern ones. They use the older engines and gearboxes and stuff off them, drive shafts, everything. So all the parts are very easy to get, need anything, they're cheap, they're not that expensive.
Yeah, but they're getting common.
Yeah, that's why they're
you know?
easy it's like the Lada Riva in Russia.
Yeah.
They still make them.
Yeah.
They're just reliable, easy, and that's what's happening. Like that's.
Well, I remember we had a Peugeot 106. It was a 93. She was brought home from London, K32 FUL. That was the reg on her. And it was a 5-door diesel.
Yeah, go
And-
smell of diesel, so they would.
That car done from 93 until 2007.
Yeah,
And the only reason it was changed in 2007 was the NCT came in. The NCT came in a lot before that, but it failed the NCT on corrosion.
corrosion. Yeah, it's the
And
biggest killer of it.
my dad brought it to a fairly good mechanic or that, and he told him, he says, listen, Chris, he says, I can do it for you, no bother at all, but it's going to be expensive. And he says, the work I'll put into it is about twice the price she's worth at the moment.
Yes.
So he says, if I was you, I'd be considering a newer yoke, do you know?
Yeah.
But that car is what me and my sister and all that learned how to drive in, and it was still going a good number of years after that. Do you know?
Yeah.
And I can't help but think, if you have a good car that's good value, gets you down the road, what more is to it?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you're a bit of a petrol head, right? But for herself in there, what does she need? She needs a yoke to get to and from where she's going to.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
And that's most people. That's how most people look. But the modern cars now have gone to such a price.
Yeah.
Do you know, a basic car now
Basic cars
is big money.
Big money, yeah. Big
Do you
money.
agree with the NCT?
I agree. There's a bit of overreach with the NCT, as in the NCT is there for safety, and when they're failing you on stuff that's not related to safety, they shouldn't be failing you. That's what I'd say. That's my own personal opinion on that.
My difficulty with it is a mechanic should be able to tell you if a car is roadworthy.
Yeah, but then it'd be like the MOTs where you can give the mechanic the
It's a
50.
great job, so it is.
You give the man the 50 and he'll fucking make sure
But
he
right
passes.
there in front of the gearbox.
Yeah.
So it is. And when you get a right good one, you don't even have to go. It's great. So I had a gentleman from the Republic of Pakistan when I was over there, and he was a mighty fella altogether. So he was. He'd do anything for 50. So he would. Mighty job.
Oh, Jesus, it was right back in the day anyway, even with the NCTs. But I don't know. I agree with them, as in, like, they'll keep a car to a standard. Like,
Well,
Jesus, if I can guarantee you, if there was no NCTs, that van of yours there, there'd be every ball joint hanging out of it.
Oh, yeah.
I could imagine you. I can imagine it.
You don't
Imagine
have-
it coming into the garage after 3 years of no servicing or nothing, and everything hanging off it. Like,
Well, you don't have to imagine it. I've done it, and even when the DOE was in it, I've done it. But, the worst occasion I ever had, I had a what's it called, a golf
yeah,
with the like the car golf, but it was a van,
yes,
and it was the lid does be on the bottom of the boot or that.
yeah.
I was driving home from Athenry, and I went across the speed bump, and I heard this notorious bang. Do you know?
Talk about where the spare wheel is, like,
Yeah.
yeah, the boot floor.
No.
No.
The trolley jack had gone through it.
Oh, jeez.
That's how corroded it was. Now, I bought her for maybe 300 or 400 quid
Yeah,
or that.
yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, I just pulled her in, and I rang a local recovery man. I said, that thing is
That's it,
not
done.
safe to drive.
But that's the standard I think the NCT wanted to go with. But, like, I think they're kind of slightly trying to overreach a bit with some of the stuff they're going down, like some of the stuff they want you to do. And
Yeah, but there's another side to it too that a lot of people doesn't realise. They're not really checking it mechanically.
it's all meant to be safety
brakes,
and emissions now, obviously.
yeah. But how many stories have you heard of someone and they flew through the NCT and then they were driving down the road and the gearbox just fell out of it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
There's
and
a lot of
engines
that.
blow up and everything in the NCT. So
Yeah.
there's loads of it, but you're like,
Because that emissions test and the revving that they're doing on it, it has to be putting it under stress.
it is. But if it's going to, I said to one woman that happened to her, and I was like, listen, if it's going to go in there, if it's going to go on the road on you, where
Yeah.
would you be? You know, could go tomorrow, could go 10 minutes after the NCT, or it could go in a week's time, like,
Yeah.
and you could be on the road. It is better off happening there instead of
Well,
moaning and
Kev,
crying about
I
it.
want you to tell, because we're finishing off now for the first hour. We'll be on Patreon or that after that.
That's
so
when
we
it gets
will. And-
right political, is
yeah,
it?
that's it. Yeah. We'll be asking you what you really think. Kev, thank you very much.
Thank you. That wasn't too bad.
Did I hear a beep?